Well guys, the hatch pulled through for us. Took a day off after the whole weekend because it was brutal. But I got her back over here at the new place, just kind of chilling. One thing I do want to note, it is pretty cool that a lot of this stuff is still the original parts. I mean, a lot of you guys probably watched me build this first manifold. What was that, 7 or 8 years ago? I was just kind of looking back over the car and I'm like, man, that's still the first manifold I welded on the car. Still my first charge pipe. A lot of it's still original, the original concept, along with the mounts and stuff for the engine there. But it was really cool for the hatch to finally get a stick shift win. And that was a for sure win because we didn't go to the finals and get rained out. We made it all the way through. But I do have a video for you guys today because I did want to tear down the H22 that we did blow up in the hatch and see if we can't figure out what happened to it. So I did go ahead and tear that down. I'm going to be getting busy here soon on the MR2 to get ready for World Cup because we still got a lot of work to do there. But for now, we're going to go ahead and tear down the H22 that came out of the hatch. All right, boys. So today we're going to go ahead and tear down the H22 that blew up in the hatch from that Thursday night on the first round of qualifying. So as you can see, we got her up on the engine stand here. We got a big old hole on the front of the engine. I was so quick to just get the new engine into the hatch that, you know, I didn't even bother to tear this thing apart. But I want to go ahead and dig into it, and hopefully the head is good with any luck because I do have a lot of good stuff in the head. And if the head's good, then I'll be able to go through it, refresh it, and have a good backup head. I could get another bottom end done and have a spare engine ready to go, hopefully in the future. But yeah, we're gonna have to dig into it and see. And I also want to try to learn something about what might have actually happened. Now you guys saw that the rod completely came out, and I already did show that there's a ton of heat on it. And I am very confident that either the oiling itself was the problem or there was, you know, a rod bearing clearance issue with this specific rod or journal on the crank. The other three appear to look pretty good. From just looking at it upside down, I didn't see too much heat build up in those rod caps, but we won't know until we pull it apart. If you actually come right over here real quick, I do want to show you guys this. This is how I know it was a rod bearing and this was something, you know, building up and it eventually just let go. This didn't just happen on that pass. I'd actually heard my hatch kind of, you know, pick up a weird little noise here and there. It kind of idled funny sometimes, and I had a gut feeling like something was a little off, but it never made an obvious knock or anything. It always still sounded smooth, revved good, made good power. Didn't give me any signs, but if I followed a little bit more of my intuition and like maybe pulled the VTEC screen or something, I may have been able to catch it a bit sooner. But the rod bearing was definitely letting go because this is what the VTEC screen looked like. You can see all the material in there. That is all rod bearing, and I've not cleaned any of this out since we pulled it apart. And this is the pickup. I have not touched it. I just took it off the old engine because we had to get that other windage tray and stuff off to steal the plug for the oil squirters. But this is the pickup as it came out of the blown up engine. And look at this. You're not gonna have that much rod bearing material on one pass. So it was already slowly on its way out. And if you boys come look right over here, I got the laptop, and this is why it could possibly be a oiling or a rod issue, but I also am definitely contributing this to some possible oil pressure issues. So look at this. This is FL2K last year, which we did get runner up in, by the way, on this engine. So this was E1 last year on this engine that just let go. This blue line right here is our oil pressure. You can see we are doing great on the two-step, 100 pounds. Look how bad this oil pressure is dipping. We're going down into as low as the 40s. I'm at 48 PSI at 9,600 RPM on 40 pounds of boost. You know, close to half of where we want to be oil pressure wise. And then you can see on the shifts, what's happening is the oil's sloshing back because the G-force just for a blip isn't there. And we spike back up to that 100 PSI oil pressure, get it back into second gear, oil pressure drops back off, and we're in the 40s, high 40s to low 50s the entire second gear. Shift back to 100, and then third gear, it does finally start to pick up. You know, there it touches 70. And then by the time we get to fourth gear, the oil pressure does come up to where it's riding in the 70s to 80s, all the way up into the 90s. It starts to do pretty good. if you look at every pass, so that was E1, we got E2. Look at this. Down into the 60, about 59 right there. Not as terrible. Let's see, second gear came down to 53, but still following this same trend. If we go to Q1, down in the 60s. This one must have had a little bit more oil in it because we only had that effect in first gear, and then look how nice the oil pressure flattens out. We got Q2. So these are actually a little backwards. So this was Q1. Okay, this actually makes sense. Q1, my first pass at FL2K last year, we didn't have any oil pressure blip after. What probably happened is it pushed oil into the catch can. I probably didn't do a good job checking it, and I didn't re-top it off to drain it. And then we get to Q2 and we start to really lose that oil pressure, as you can see. And then the E1 and E2 is what you see. I mean, look how bad that gets. So very, very inconsistent oil pressure. And then this is the pass it blew up. So this was our first pass that Thursday night. I'm gonna clean this oil off. And look how bad this oil pressure got, guys. So we're sitting at 100 PSI on the two-step. I launch and it is in the 30s. Look at this, 34 PSI at 7,100. And by the time I shift, it's not even into the 40s yet. So that's very low oil pressure to be at that high RPM with 50 pounds of boost. And then second gear, you can see how sporadic it is. And then it does start to pick up and smooth out quite a bit. It's looking a lot better than my logs from last year. I mean, if you compare, this is still the same engine, right? But look how much more it cleans up in the top of third and fourth as compared to these. And I guarantee this is because the pass that it did blow up on, it was my first pass out there, and I did double check the oil, and I probably had a little bit more in it than those first elimination or qualifiers at last year's FL2K. It obviously still wasn't enough. I don't know if I just got comfortable with not putting enough oil in the hatch, but I got to a point where I was just filling it up to the second dot, almost like factory, and I was calling it good. I was like, the hatch has always been fine. I usually would overfill it. All my H22s have had a tendency to blow a good amount of oil into the catch can, even on a fresh engine, just the way the valve cover is designed and stuff. And I found that running a little less oil didn't blow as much oil into that catch can. But what I didn't realize is that it was affecting my oil pressure really bad. That's why I'm saying that the oil pressure has a very good chance of what caused that rod to let go. Now, I'm not ruling out that the clearance was also possibly off, but this needs to be fixed for sure. And so I did see this after she let go. And if you'll notice on our new engine, these are our elimination passes right here. Look how much better this oil pressure gets. So this was E2. I need to get the final log from the pass we won. It's still in the car. I have the car over at the new property, so I'll get that another day. But this is E2. We drop as far as 82 PSI, all of first gear, 87, 85 PSI in second. And then by the time we get to third and what would have been fourth, we're pegged out on the sensor at 100 PSI. I did see this dip, and even though it's way better than it was, I was like, let's throw another half quart of oil in it, and look what we got on E3. Look at this line. Now look how smooth we are, boys. We don't even go under 90 PSI the whole pass. Oh, I lied to you guys. We went to 89 for a split second right there. But other than that, we are 90 and above. This was only a 1-2 shift because the guy red lit next to me. I believe this is the one against the Mustang. Obviously, first and second are the most important ones where we're launching. And we got that G-force, and the oil is sloshing. So that was probably a lot there to show you the logs, but I want to show all this just so you get an idea of what I think may have happened. I know on that pass where it blew up, we didn't have an alternator on it, but like I said, I was confident that had literally nothing to do with it. This is a oil pressure issue, and I'm almost certain of it. And I believe it is my lack of double checking the level and not running as much as I need to. And I thought I was running enough because I've just had this car for so many years and it's never been a problem. But as she's gotten faster and launching harder and stuff, obviously I need to take that into consideration. And Aaron Lopez on his car, he actually built a custom sump that comes off of the oil pump. So instead of having this pickup tube, he cut this here basically. I'm assuming he cut this here or got the same flange and built a custom one that actually runs the pickup to the back side of the oil pan. So when he launches and all that oil sloshes back, the pickup's not here in the center. It's actually in the back of the pan, so the oil stays where that sump is. And that is something I definitely want to consider moving forward, because if I do that, I can get away with running a little bit less oil so we don't push as much into the catch can and we don't lose that oil pressure, and we're just not overfilling it just to save it on the 1-2 shift there. So I wanted to show you guys that, and I will get the final log from our winning pass. The car's just still at the new place. But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and tear down the engine to see if we find anything else, because I haven't touched any of that yet. Some of this info could change, but I know oil pressure needed to be addressed. So let's tear this thing down. All right, got the head loose. Moment of truth, see if the piston hit it or not. See, now when Brent was saying how he pulls the head studs out first, now he could make a good point, because it kind of sucks to get off right now. Come on, let go. There we go. All right, let's set this guy right here. Oh, we might be good, boys. We might be good. I'm just gonna go right upside down with it. Oh, I think we're good. Boys, I think the head is gonna be just fine. Zero contact. I did see that piston was down at the bottom. Yep, there's nothing on the top of the piston. So I don't know if I can pop this guy out real quick. Oh yeah, she's wedged in there pretty good. Let me go to get a pry bar and try to smack it out. Alrighty. There she is. There's what's left of the piston after the rod decided to fly out of the block. I also did find the wrist pin in the oil pan. So the wrist pin completely ripped out. That guy tore up the whole bottom of the piston. These are a couple of the chunks that were in the catch pan after I cleaned it out from the outside of the block. And then also this was stuff that I found in the pan. I didn't show that earlier. This is about what was all in the pan, other than, you know, some smaller bits of metal, but this is all what was left of that rod bearing. Definitely was on its way out well before the event even started. It must have been already showing signs of wear. And I only found one rod bolt. The other rod bolt is MIA. The other 3 cylinders look great though. So like I was saying, just from looking at it at a quick glance, it doesn't look like there's too much heat in any of those guys, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the girdle off, and we'll go ahead and pop the rest of these rods and pistons out and just see if there's any more issues due to that oil pressure being low. So I just got the main girdle off, and all of the main bearings on this side definitely are not looking too hot, boys. Just as I was suspecting, I thought there might be some more damage based on how low that oil pressure was. And you're seeing it across the board here. Literally every main bearing has signs of lubrication problems. Look at that. I don't know how well you can see just how worn they are on camera, and the heat marks that are built up. Also, they don't clip into place. They're all distorted heat wise. Look at this, they just fall right out. Look at this one, falls right out. And if you actually look at this one on the crank that didn't come out, look at this heat around that slot. Can you see the edges right there? Look at the black marks from the heat, and you can see the bottom of the bearing right here is flaring out. Look at it right here. That's the edge of the screwdriver catching the bearing, because this bearing is a little fused to the crank because she got hot. Look at that. I'm surprised it even was running as good as it did. Look at that. Bearing is cooked. And that's the main bearings, which I know I double checked all of these clearances. Granted, I did use Plastigate. It's not the most accurate way, but it's no different than how I built the other engines in the past that have lasted several years. So I am very confident that the oil pressure had, you know, almost everything to do with our problems here, because it wasn't just one rod that happened to let go. We're seeing lubrication issues across all of it. So all the main bearings are screwed. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull these other 3 rods out and see if they have any wear as well. All right, so I got the other 3 rods and pistons out. The cylinders and pistons themselves look just fine, but the rod bearings, just like the main bearings, do not look so hot. So check this guy out. Try to get a light on there. You can see the copper color in there, all this metal. These bearings were on their way out. You can see that the edges were starting to heat up and roll over. All the rod bearings completely cooked. This one was the best out of all 4, but it's still not looking too hot. But that one is, you know, this one wouldn't have blown up. These 2, those are getting close to on their way out, and all of the rod bearings just fall right out of the caps and out of the rods themselves. So I would be very confident to say that this would all look a lot better if we had good oil pressure across those logs. I should have done a better job of checking those logs and reviewing the oil pressure, because back then I just guessed the oil pressure wasn't on my mind for some reason. But I should have noticed that dip and figured out a way to fix that, either putting more oil into the engines, which obviously showed worked at FL2K. I think I was just running them a little too low. I should have had at least another quart or 2 in there and just confirm that there was no problem with the oiling system. So that is what I'm going to contribute it to. You guys are more than welcome to put your opinions down in the comments below. And even though this engine was just a little over a year old, don't forget, boys, she did get us a win at last year's FL2K. We were going to the finals, and Hatch was on a mission. And this is the FL2K where we tied because of weather. So me and the other finalist split the main prize money and the runner-up money, because it was both of us that were supposed to go to the finals. And we got the heaviest trophy that Bradenton has ever produced from this engine. So she still did us proud. You guys also got to keep in mind that almost every project I have personally assembled the engine on. Just about everything. The only thing I haven't put the motor together on is the billet engines that we've done for the MR2, the engine that is currently in the orange NSX, and the 2JZ that is going in the 2J Civic. Every other engine, correct me if I'm wrong, I have personally assembled top to bottom, put my hands on every component, even the LS. Wyatt gave me some help with that in the 240 and the Cummins in the truck, but I was there every step of the way helping. Did I forget to torque the rod bolts on the LS? Maybe. Do my engines blow up sometimes? Maybe, but I learn a lot every time. I really do try to just learn as much as I can, and I do like to continue to build them and learn from each situation. And I've put a lot of them together, and I'm sure I'm gonna blow up more in the future, and we'll keep on learning. But that is the breakdown on the Hatch's H22. And for you boys that stuck around to the end of the video, I will be putting a piece of the Hatch's blown up engine in all random orders going out from now for the next, couple days or so. So I got everything laid out right here. We got rod bearings, main bearings, the rods, pistons. I'll break these down if I need to and separate the wrist pin from the piston. If we have fewer orders, someone's gonna get the whole rod and piston combo. I got the main caps over here, the main studs, head studs, bolts, washers. We do have our Raptors in stock. I did the light plug, but I'll plug them again since we're getting caught up on those guys. And if you guys grab anything, even if it's a sticker or whatever, I'll try to throw something in for you guys. But if you do order a sticker, don't order a Hatch or Built for a Good Time sticker, because if I'm not able to get a part in your order, I will at least make sure you get a free Hatch and Built for a Good Time sticker in your order, in case we have more than these parts right here, because it's very fitting. You get the Hatch sticker and you get the engine that was built for a good time. Not a long time, unfortunately, even though we did have a good time getting this thing turned around and winning FL2K. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.